Hey, Beto Brown here with Creative Design, and we're going to introduce you today to our new, wonderful Massivit 3D printer. This thing is big and it is very fast. So this piece is a test sample that we did. It's obviously a male torso. It is the machine has three settings. There's like a high resolution, a medium, and a low. This particular piece is on high res, and it took about an hour to print this, which is lightning fast if you know anything about 3D printing. Now this particular piece, we left the bottom open because it was just a sample, and it's fairly sturdy, but if you needed this to be really sturdy, like if this was going to be a finished one-off to go out in the field, then what we have decided to do, and we're going to do a test sample to show you, is we backfill this by rotocasting it with Smooth-On's Task 6. So it will thicken the wall by about 3 times what it is right now, very quickly and at a much lower cost than the printing resin. So right now, you can see in the background here, we have 2 pieces printing. It's the same piece. The machine has 2 heads, so it can print 2 pieces at the same time. Now if you're printing one very large piece, it only uses 1 head, otherwise they would bump into each other. But you can see that's real time. So we'll join you in a minute over at the rotocast machine. Okay, so now we're over at the rotocast machine, and this is their 3D printed male torso. And as we showed you before, the bottom of it was hollow or open, so we've just hot glued on a piece of PVC. We drilled a hole and put a piece of PVC pipe in it, and what this is going to allow us to do is we have to be able to pour the resin in. And this pipe extends a few inches inside of here, so the resin will not come back out this hole. The only other option in doing this is you have a hole and you plug it with some kind of a plug that you take in and out, because usually you have to pour more than 1 layer. So here we've attached a regular old 5-gallon bucket to our plate on the rotocast machine. It's just screwed on there, and just so happens this piece perfectly fits inside there. So we're just going to shove it in like that, and we're just going to take this string, tie it off really quick. Nothing fancy, just a test sample. If we were going to be doing this all day long, we would do something a little nicer. But this is just to show how we can take a rotocast or a 3D printed piece and rotocast some resin into it to strengthen it pretty quick and cheap. So we'll pause for now. We're going to mix up some resin and pour in here, and we'll be back. Okay, we're back. We've got our resin set up here with our scale. The resin I choose is Task 6 to rotocast with. That's my resin of choice. So we're going to put in a total of 30 ounces, and this particular material is 50-50, and we always do it by weight. So we've already got one side in. We're going to pour in the other side, and we're pouring. I like to pour one right on top of the other so you don't have to transfer it. So you got to be pretty accurate. If you screw it up, you have to calculate really quick in your head to fix it, and we don't want to do that. About as much as you can mix in this container. It's 30 ounces. It's a 32 ounce container. So we have, it's cold today, so we have a good 60 seconds that we can mix this before we need to get it in the machine. On a hot day, which we're here in Florida, it gets very hot, we have to refrigerate this material to keep the temperature down. Okay, there we are, about 60 seconds. So now we're going to take this over and carefully pour it into our little PVC spout. I don't know if you can see that from where you are. And I can already feel the material getting warm in the cup. We're almost there. Okay, we're in. So we want to very quickly get the machine going, because the goal is to get the resin moving inside the casting. In this case, normally it's a mold. This time it's a finished casting, and get it spread around. So in about 20 minutes, we'll come back, and that layer will be hard enough to where if we wanted, we could pour another layer, or we could call it done. Okay, our timer is telling us that it's been 20 minutes and this piece is done. So we're going to turn off the timer, and then we'll stop the machine. getting it adjusted around here so I can get to the strings, untie it. We'll take this piece out. Okay, so first thing I noticed, the piece is nice and warm, and we've increased it by about 30 ounces. Now, what you can see here at the top is when the 3D print does its thing, sometimes at the very top it'll leave little tiny holes, and that's what this is, the resin leaked out. On the other sample I did, I thought about that and I put clay on it so it didn't come out. But it's not a big deal because we would be finishing the surface of this anyhow. I would probably never let a piece go out with the 3D printed finish. If you know anything about what that looks like, it looks like the stack of an edge of paper where the layers go together. And you know, it's not a bad look, but it's not the look that we go for. We usually have more automotive finishes or something of that nature. So that was 20 minutes, and we've added a layer. It's much sturdier now. If we wanted, we could add another layer. Usually 3 is the most we do when we're casting into an actual mold. But since this is the 3D printed part is our first layer, essentially, I would probably stop there. And then the other thing we could do is you can backfill with urethane foam. And that comes in different poundages. I'm not sure if poundages is a word, but you can get it like 2 pounds, 3 pounds, 10 pounds, 12 pounds. But when you start getting up really high, then it becomes a cinder block, and what's the point? So the next thing we'll do is let this cure. It takes at least an hour or 2 for the resin to get really hard where you can work with it. But we have another one, and what we're going to do is we're going to cut it in half to show you what it looks like in cross section. All right, we'll see you back. Okay, so we're back, and here's our male torso. It's cured. This one actually I did about a week ago, so the resin's nice and hard. But you can see on the bottom here, I didn't really care about what happened to it, so we just pried it off, and it snapped some of the resin because I was impatient, as usual. But this is nice, and this is really sturdy. If I dropped it on the floor, there's a chance it might break, but there's also a chance that it won't break. Okay, so we're just going to run it through the bandsaw so we can cut it in half and you can see cross-section of what we did. All right, there we go. So if you can zoom in on that, you can see this yellowish tan material. That's the rotocasting resin, the Task 6 and Smooth On. And the white is the 3D printed material, which when it starts is actually a gel that it spits out. And here is the upper half. Let me shake some of the dust out of it. And if I hold it up to the light, I don't know if you can see that. See the areas where it's very light in color? That's light coming through, which tells me those areas are thin. And we normally do this to every piece we rotocast, whether we're going into the back of a 3D printed piece or into a piece that's out of a mold. We always cut them up like this when we do the test samples because we're always trying to figure out how much material to put in. And you never know until you've done a piece what it's going to take, and weather also affects that. So this is a normal process for rotocasting. You always cut your pieces up. There you have it.